Am I the a-hole for showing my daughter the text her fiancé sent me? I'm a widower with 2 children, 23-year-old biological daughter and 17-year-old stepson, Adam. My late wife passed away 2 years ago, leaving me to care for Adam, disabled, wheelchair-bound. His sister loves him, and she always visits and checks in on him. Her fiancé Mike and I don't get along because of how he behaves around us. Unlike us, Mike comes from a prosperous family, and they always tend to show off what they have. Mike treats my daughter well, but acts as if me and my family were less than. He doesn't eat nor drink anything at my house. He and his mom make comments about our living space and constantly brag about what his family got. My daughter was visiting and said she wanted me and her brother be at the wedding to share her day. The day I received the invitation, Mike called and expressed how he and his family weren't thinking Adam's presence at his sister's wedding was necessary. He went on about his family's upper-class guests and how Adam's presence would feel out of place, and suggested I come alone. I told him my daughter said she wanted Adam there, but he kept coming up with suggestions till we started arguing. I checked with my daughter to clear any misunderstanding, and Mike then said Adam could come. I then got text from him talking about how it's his wedding, so I needed to stop sticking my nose where it doesn't belong. He mentioned my son isn't technically family anyway, so it wouldn't matter if he's uninvited. Claiming I was trying to be mean on purpose to make it hard because I don't like him. He finished by saying that this is my fair warning, and that if I choose to make my son's presence at the wedding my hill to die on, then I just sign away any rights to any future grandchildren he and my daughter will have. That was it. He kept calling, but I blocked him. I invited my daughter to my home to tell her I won't attend if my son won't. She asked what happened. I showed her the text Mike sent me, and she was shocked. Said nothing, just took a picture of it and left. My sisters came the next day, saying the wedding was off after a huge argument between Mike and my daughter because of me. Argued that I created this problem when I showed my daughter the text. And I could have respected the groom's rules since it's his wedding. But I was being controlling, not wanting my daughter to be happy. Went on about Mike being high class, a man with a salary, his own house and car. More relatives were saying they would have had someone watch Adam if this was the issue. But it wasn't. Then they claimed it was because of my resentment towards Mike. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You saved your daughter from getting married to an ableist bigot. It was much better for her to find out what he's really like now than after they're bound together by legal paperwork. Holy cow, this! Imagine how she would feel if she didn't find out until after marriage, or worse, after kids. She cares about her brother, and her fiancé showed his true colors. Better to find out before it becomes more complicated to leave. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Oh, hell no! Do not let your daughter marry that prick. If Opie prevented daughter marrying Mike, he'd be just as bad as Mike. Hopefully he stays true to her word now that she's realized what a scummy, controlling snob he is. Not the a-hole. The wedding is not off because of you. It's off because of Mike's snobbishness and ableism. You know the old thing about how you can tell a person's true self by their treatment of waitstaff and cashiers? It applies equally well here. Your daughter deserved to know what her fiancé was saying. She might not be happy right now, but your daughter dodged a bullet. You're the one who yelled at her to duck. Not the a-hole. The wedding is off because your daughter realized that if her fiancé was willing to treat her brother this way, then he wasn't the type of man she wanted to spend her life with. Tell your gold-digging sisters that Mike is now single. They can chase after him if these assets are so important. But you have a family that cares for each other, and that's all you need. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for rudely telling my husband I decide who is in the delivery room? So for context, I'm 28 female, I'm currently pregnant with my partner, 31 male, and I'm a first-time mom. My hospital recently changed their policy and are now allowing 2 support people in the delivery room. My mother-in-law made comments early on that she wanted to be there for the birth, and this woman is not subtle. At the time, I felt protected by COVID protocols, but set that expectation straight. I explicitly stated that anytime I give birth, it will be a private medical experience that only includes my husband and medical team. I thought that it was clear it wasn't a debate, Because it's my body, and I have the autonomy to decide who sees it in any context. Additionally, I do not have a good relationship with my mother-in-law. She just recently started initiating positive interactions after years of me trying, and it's absolutely because she's an "it's my grandbaby" person. Recently, my husband told me we needed to have a discussion. He starts off by saying he mentioned the support person protocol change to his mother. I tried not to react, but immediately I blurted out asking why he would do that. He goes on to say he knows his mother really wants to be in the room to see the baby's first breath. I replied logically, if your mom sees their first breath, she will also see me pushing and will be looking down at my canal. I actually had to explain why I refused to give birth in front of his mother. I then told him that there are only two priorities in the delivery room, and neither of them are his mother or her feelings. The discussion continued back and forth. Finally, I started crying. I told him that the labor and birth will be the most painful and vulnerable experience of my life, and that I need him to protect me. I told him that anyone who refuses to protect their pregnant partner failed them, and it's just dead weight in the delivery room. My husband told me I'm rude, other negative things too, left our apartment, and when he came back, he wasn't speaking to me. This is where I think I could be the a-hole. I told him giving me the silent treatment, because I won't let his mother spectate at my most intimate area rips open, was very immature. It made me worry if he has the emotional intelligence to support me in the delivery room. I think my husband took my hint, but I didn't explicitly say that I can decide he won't be allowed in there either. I will say I would be devastated if I had to do that, and never thought this would ever be a problem during my pregnancy. So, am I the a-hole? Info. I did cuss when talking about freaking ripping, but that was it. I also wasn't yelling, but I was sobbing loudly enough during it that my neighbor next door knocked to check on me after I left. Edited for added info. I saw some questions. Sorry about not including this originally. I'm a mess currently. I have a mother and two sisters, both moms, who I love endlessly, but I didn't ask any of them to be in the delivery room because I only wanted my husband there. Also, I did not yell at my husband at any point during this interaction. I was sobbing. I didn't lose my cool. In fact, my husband's screaming was why my neighbor in the apartment next door heard and came and knocked after he left. She told me when I answered the door, I move slower these days, that she was so glad I answered because she was considering calling 911. Not the a-hole. Your husband pulled a moronic move going behind your back to let mother-in-law know she might be able to be in there. That, my dear, is fully 100% up to you. In fact, I think you need to let the staff know that under no circumstances is she allowed in the room. Give them a close-up mugshot of her. This 100%. If possible, let them know ASAP, so that if she tries to get in on the day, they can kick her straight out. I'd skip kicking her out and go straight to having her arrested. Not the a-hole. This is insane. Hold your ground, Opie. Ask your husband how he'd feel if your dad chaperoned a future vasectomy. You know, to provide support and coach him through it. Some people need analogies. Not the a-hole. What is with all the mother-in-laws in the world suddenly deciding they need to see the birth of their grandchildren? No mother-in-law I've ever met thought she deserved to be in the delivery room. It's completely up to you who is in the room. But beware, she might try to sneak in. Make sure the hospital staff knows it's just you and your husband. Maybe have him watch a video of a live birth so he understands how absolutely vulnerable you will be in that moment. Thank you for the suggestion because I was thinking of this, but was worried I was being over the top. I told him I wanted him to watch a human birth when he brought this up. Now it's required because honestly, I don't want him in the room if he's so ignorant and uneducated on the process. Because then, he really will just be dead weight and probably will cause me and the baby stress. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for finally telling my sister I asked to move in with my dad to get away from her? My sister Hannah, 26 female, is 2 years older than me, 24 female. Growing up with her was fine until she turned 10, and then her personality just switched. Everything was an argument. I have no idea if it was really triggered by her dad leaving the country, back to Honduras, or mental health issues. I never asked, because she never wanted to talk about it. While Hannah and I share a mom, we do not share fathers. Mom wasn't with either of our dads, romantically, for long. And I don't judge her for that, it is just how things were. My dad stuck around, wanted everything to do with me. Hannah's dad was around until he left, got married, and rarely called. I went through a lot of instability and told my dad how miserable I was. Mom couldn't focus on both of us. Sometimes my dad would pick me up and take me for a week. I would come back to my things ripped up, Hannah clinging to me, or her shouting at me that she hated me, wanted me to go away. My mom didn't know how to make it stop, and I seemed to be the target of Hannah's jealousy and emotional fits. So when my dad met stepmom, Judy, and they talked about moving to her hometown, Portland, I begged to come with them. At this point, I was living with them almost full-time. Most of my things were at their house because Hannah liked to just destroy my stuff for fun. Dad took me to school and I would see my mom on the weekends, but even that might be cut short. My mom agreed after I said it was for the best. I was already miserable, and she should focus all her time on Hannah. And it worked out. I had a family where I wasn't suddenly attacked for simply existing. And Hannah had all the attention she needed to have therapy and work on her problems. But I guess my mom told her that custody was awarded to my dad because he made more. Hannah was visiting me in Portland 2 years ago and asked if I ever resented the courts for not letting us grow up together. I asked where she heard that. I then said, "I love you, Hannah, but I moved in with my dad because you treated me like crap." It recently came up that Hannah is back in therapy because she keeps remembering the comment I made and feels terrible about it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Look, your sister went through obvious mental problems and took them out on you. She was a confused and scared 10-year-old. I do not think she is a horrible person for that, and I love and commend the fact that you two have reconnected now that you are both adults. You are a star for seeing things how they are, not holding them against her. But that said, you are adults now. You are allowed to speak the truth and you did it in a respectful manner. Her behavior impacted your life. Things got a lot better when we were in high school and college. Distance really helped. But she seems to misremember a lot of what happened when we were kids. My mom told her a lot of things differently that I feel happened. And I think she didn't realize I remembered the things she did and still kind of resented. She might remember them less vividly or completely blocked them out since she was only 10, and your mother has been sheltering her. I mean, I hardly remember anything from when I was 10. You? That does not mean your feelings are not valid. People doing horrible things to others are much more likely to forget what they have done because they are not the ones who got hurt. It is not a shame to remember this, as long as you do not do it repeatedly / hold it over her. I hope you got some therapy / help with this as well. Stay safe. Not the a-hole for being honest with her as an adult, and she probably needed therapy anyways. I honestly don't know why she stopped. She gets emotionally irregular if she doesn't go and talk stuff out. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my daughter the basement suite after I renovated it only because she refused to give up her room upstairs? I've been remarried for 2 years now, and we recently had a son. I also have a 14-year-old daughter from my first marriage, and a 12 and 9-year-old stepsons. When my wife was 5 months pregnant, I asked my daughter if she could swap rooms with my stepsons. We had only 4 bedrooms at the time. My daughter had the largest room. Our plan was for my daughter to take the second largest room, my stepsons to share her larger room, and convert the smallest room into a nursery. I thought this was a fairly reasonable ask, but my daughter made it into a huge fight. And worse was when my ex got involved, who then threatened to take me to court to reduce my custody of my daughter all over a room. This caused way too much stress at home, and I gave in, which I do regret now. But I then proceeded to renovate the basement suite. With my father's help, the basement now had the largest bedroom with a lounge and a full bathroom. It's very easily the nicest part of the house. The kids then started fighting over who would move down there. And I very firmly told my daughter that I renovated it because she refused to give up her room. So my 12-year-old stepson gets to move down there. I don't know if it's just puberty, but my daughter has become extremely hostile and downright mean over this. She no longer comes over as much as before, citing the unfair room as the reason. My ex fully supports her. and I have to wait 5 months before I can even fight this in court. At this point, I'm not even sure it's worth the legal cost because she'll be 15 in December and her opinion will count in the court. Am I the a-hole for not giving in to my daughter's frankly bratty demands? It's killing me that my daughter feels like I'm pushing her out of the family. But I want to stay true to what I think is right. All attempts to get us in family therapy has been denied by my ex. And my poor father now feels terrible because he's being partly blamed since he helped with the renovations. I don't think you are an a-hole, but you haven't handled this well. Your daughter is in that awkward teen phase, and if the initial room was always hers, assuming your wife and stepsons moved into your house, then I can totally see her feelings displaced in favor of the new family and the new baby. I think it depends on how you ask her and explain the situation. She now sees a nice fancy room downstairs, and her stepbrother gets it and feels further punished. Not saying she's right, and she's definitely acting bratty and entitled, but you might want to examine why your daughter feels so displaced when she visits/lives with you. Not the a-hole for this situation specifically. She literally got what she wanted though, but they had to go a different course because she wasn't going to agree. So she kept what she wanted originally. She has no reason to feel punished or displaced. She's being enabled by her abusive mom. I've actively watched my sister go through some horrible custody crap, taking mistreatment from her son because her ex is brainwashing him to hate her, and she has to play nice for court purposes. She just moved to another state for a job opportunity and has a year to show that it's a good place for her son to be as well, / that she can support him there. And his dad is already turning it around that the courts are deeming her unfit to be a mom 100%, instead of realizing that she was his main provider for 13 years. When it comes to manipulative exes and courts, there's no good way to handle this mess. I think Opie did everything they were supposed to do, to the point where he didn't force his daughter to move when she didn't want to. Daughter is being brainwashed by mom, plain and simple. Parental alienation is what I'm looking for. 100%. Also not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. If there is one here, it's your ex. Your request of your daughter was reasonable given the dynamics of the children in the household. At 14, she's old enough to understand this, but it sounds like there are other things at play that are influencing her behavior. The divorce, your ex poisoning the well, trying to blend families and her feeling pushed out that make me empathetic towards her. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for my girlfriend's plane ticket after she decided to stay longer on her trip without me? Plus update. Original post. So here's the deal. My 28 male girlfriend, 27 female of 2 years, and I planned a 2-week vacation to Italy. I paid for the flights, hotels, everything, because I make more than she does, and I wanted it to be a stress-free trip for both of us. Everything was great. Until the last day when she tells me she wants to stay longer to find herself and think about our relationship without me. She didn't discuss this with me beforehand and it completely blindsided me. I was hurt and told her that if she feels she needs time alone, then she should also be independent financially during this extension of her trip. I said I wouldn't be paying for her new return ticket whenever she decides to come back. Now she's upset, calling me unsupportive and selfish, and some of our friends are saying I'm being an a-hole because I'm leaving her stranded in a foreign country without financial help. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for her new plane ticket home after she chose to extend her trip without any heads up? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. She can find herself in her own dime. That's reasonable and fair. Now she's upset, calling me unsupportive and selfish, and some of our friends are saying I'm being an a-hole because I'm leaving her stranded in a foreign country without financial help. You have been supportive and selfish. You didn't complain or become difficult. You respected her decision to stay and find herself. Supportive does not necessarily mean you have to pay for her choices. And no, you didn't strand her in a foreign country without financial help. It was her decision to stay behind. All you did was respect her decision. However, it was not your obligation to fund her decision. She's a grown woman, which means she's responsible for her choices and her financial independence. You invited her on a couple's trip. Well, that couple's trip is over. She decided to stay on her own? That's no longer part of the deal. She has every right to stay behind. She also has the right to pay for that out of her own pocket. Has she been this manipulative before? Red flag. Let's be honest. She could find herself at home, but she chose to stay in Italy. She had a paid-for holiday, and now she's all surprised Pikachu face that won't fund a journey of self-exploration with the side of I need to think about our relationship without you? Yeah, that read, I want to bang Italian guys on your dime. Expect you to finance it because I never told you you were just my sugar daddy. Have you pay for my return, and have a fully functional relationship like nothing happened when I return. Not the a-hole. You didn't leave anyone stranded. And why would you be willing to foot the bill for this extension of the vacation that you're not on? Sounds like something the person taking the extended vacation should pay for surely. I decided to spend some more of your money isn't and shouldn't become acceptable in your relationship. I might be somewhat rough around the edges when it comes to stuff like this, but I've only ever in my life internalized and reacted to messages like, I need to find myself, or we have to take a break to think about the relationship as one thing. And that is, you do what you do, I'm moving on ahead. Don't ever act like you're in a relationship with someone who demands the right to act like they are single. I hope they don't live together. If it was her place, I'd move, take my stuff, and bolt. If it's her place, his, pack up her stuff and put it in a storage building. Change your phone number or block her. Block her on social media. She can find herself without you. Now for the update. Thank you to all the people who responded, especially the early ones who gave some outside verification of me probably not being the a-hole. I don't feel comfortable saying I'm completely blameless here, because you're only getting one side of the story and I need to take responsibility for my part in this whole thing such as it is. But I guess I never realized how good my girlfriend was at making me feel like an unreasonable person was normal and rational, and that I was the crazy one. So here's the update. We're both back in America now, and she's packing her stuff to go stay with her family for a bit until she can find a new place. Soon after I posted, it was time to go to the airport, so I did, without her. I'm one of those people who arrives really early because I never think I'll get to the gate in time because everything that could go wrong probably would go wrong. It never does, but especially with how I was feeling my luck was going, I didn't want to push it. I was there for about an hour by myself, mulling things over and talking to my mom. I looked at a couple responses to this post, but I didn't trust that I wouldn't lose it if I started responding. And I definitely didn't want to burst into tears while I was at the airport. As I was talking to my mom, my girlfriend showed up. I guess she thought I was bluffing, but had a rude awakening when the hotel staff kicked her out of the room because I'd only paid through that day. I took no small amount of satisfaction in this, not gonna lie. She'd been so concerned about the plane ticket that she didn't even stop to think about where she was going to stay. As many of you guessed, she met someone while we were in Italy. She was quick to tell me that it was just a physical attraction and that they hadn't done anything, but she had his contacts and was wanting to see if it would go anywhere. I guess that's what I get for not feeling well and wanting to stay in one night while she went out to explore. Obviously, I told her things were over between us. Even though she tried to make it sound like nothing had happened, the fact was A, I couldn't feel like I could trust her when she said that, and B, I don't really want to be with someone who feels like it's okay to still keep her options open when she's been in a monogamous relationship for the past 2 years. The flight home was awkward AF, and she tried really hard to give another pitch for why we should stay together on the drive home from the airport. I think as we got closer to home, reality started setting in, and she realized she'd just thrown a lot away. So yeah, I'm jet-lagged and physically and emotionally exhausted. I'm just kind of numb at this point. Having to sit with your cheating ex on a several-hour flight while they try to convince you how cheating wasn't that bad while you're jet-lagged AF sounds like a circle of hell. Sometimes when people really upset me, I have trouble with impulse control. There's a good chance I would have buzzed the flight attendant and stage whispered, "Can you check if anyone else is willing to trade seats with me?" My girlfriend and I broke up on vacation because she met someone she wanted to hook up with. She wanted me to pay for a new return flight and hotel, which I obviously wasn't going to do. Now she's trying to convince me cheating isn't that bad. Is there any way to help me switch seats? Please? She'd been so concerned about the plane ticket that she didn't even stop to think about where she was going to stay. Nobody can be this dumb, right? Please? Sorry to burst your bubble. If Opie's ex is like some people I know, she would have assumed that of course he would extend a hotel. He'll also come around and pay for her flight. She wouldn't leave someone high and dry like that. She'd probably half expect him to stay longer with her and have a bath ready for her anytime she came back from a D session with foreign view. And raise her adultery baby. Oh, that plane ride would have been rough. I had an ex break up with me at the destination of a road trip. She seemed to have forgotten I had driven us there. That was an awkward time. I had an ex do that, but she was the one who drove. Spent the entire 4-hour drive making pleasant small talk until we were 30 minutes away from where we were going and she dropped the "we need to talk" on me. But she said we could still be friends, and she didn't see why it had to ruin our trip that I paid for. I had an ex break up with me after picking her up from a summer intensive drama course and still expected that I'd drive her 12 hours to my family home, where we had planned she was going to stay with me for 2 weeks before flying the rest of the way across the country to stay with her aunt. Her own family home was in another country on the other side of the world. I was 21 and in love. Of course I did. I can't say I regret doing so, but I definitely wouldn't again. Last story. Update. My male 28 engagement with my partner female 27 is ruined because of a ring. Original post. My partner and I have been together for 3 years. We both love each other since the very beginning. She has brought up the topic of marriage for a while, and so I decided to propose to her last month in Korea where she grew up. I custom-made a gold ring with a ruby and 3 diamonds in each side, but asked my parents to make it with a regular jeweler shop they've been going to for a while out of town. I also organized a professional photographer, then asked her to marry me in a traditional Korean village. She said yes, and everything went very smoothly, except that the ring was too big. She stayed a bit longer in Korea while I returned home for work. She went with her mom to a jeweler shop the following week and asked the ring to be made smaller. The issue started when the shop attendant said the whole ring was fake. The gold, ruby, and the diamonds. I paid $1,500 for the ring. Not a crazy amount, but I thought it was a pretty ring. She went to 4 different shops, and everyone said pretty much the same thing. One shop valued the ring at only $30 to $40. My partner and her mom were understanding at first, saying that we would not have known. But when she came back from Korea, she told me that her parents were very upset about the ring, and that my parents, because they made a ring, only valued her at $30. They refused to meet my parents, which was initially organized for the end of the year. Her mom said to her that it would be better if I admitted about the fake ring, with a view of buying a proper one in the future. These implied that we gave her a fake ring on purpose. My parents were very upset and told me that they won't bless our marriage. Question: is the ring really the problem here? I'm not sure how to move forward now. I never knew a ring can potentially break our 3-year-long relationship. Edit. None of us knew it was fake. A few days ago, I tested it with an X-ray at a pawn shop. The gold is real, not sure about the ruby and diamonds. I've apologized multiple times and showed them the receipt. We are both Asians. Families play a big role in our marriage. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Your first top should be to tear down the door of your parents' jeweler. If they really didn't know, then I'd go right to the jeweler. Your parents should have their jewelry checked too. 1.5K is nothing to sniff at either. You can certainly get quality lab diamonds and rubies at that price, especially since those diamonds are quite small. Lab stones are real too, because they're structurally identical to mined ones. Either your parents are very cheap when it comes to money, or your jeweler is a scammer and a thief. Neither option is great. OP, the ring is beautiful, but I would be insulted if my parents bought a fake ring and knew it was fake. I think your parents may not like your partner and they set you up. Looks like I'm not the only one thinking that OP's parents might have purposely bought the fake ring. OP's putting too much trust in his parents, not realizing they could be trying to mess things up between the families and get OP's fiancé dump him. Mini update. Tested a ruby in the lab. It's a natural ruby from Burma. Now for the first update. An update to my previous post where my fiancé's parents are upset and accused my parents of intentionally giving a fake engagement ring. Tested it in the lab, and it's a natural ruby from Burma. They can guarantee the results and can offer insurance letter. They said there is a natural crack in the ruby and natural inclusion. Probably a jewelry expert can shed some light into what this means. Unfortunately, because the ring is now genuine, my parents are more upset about the accusation. On the other hand, my fiancé's parents don't really trust the result. This is a major trust issue. We decided to let things settle before we discuss our intention of staying together and get married. Question: any suggestion in how to approach this situation? Thank you for your update. You've handled the situation well, but if your fiancé still doesn't trust you even after you've shown her proof, it might be worth considering ending the relationship. It's possible that she's being influenced by her parents or trying to use the situation to break up with you by painting you as the bad guy. You need to sit down with her and have a serious conversation. Clearly explain to her that you won't buy her a new ring, and if she can't trust you after you've provided proof that the ring is genuine, then you see no point in continuing the relationship. She and her family should have apologized to you, and she should have defended you to her family. If she is not able to admit her mistakes, she may not be a good partner for you in the future. Your relationship with your future in-laws seems damaged beyond repair, and they might have concocted this story to convince your fiancé to break up with you. Thanks. This hits hard because of how true it is. I'm a bit disappointed that she doesn't have trust in me. We've been together for 3 years and lived together for 2. This comes off as sunk cost fallacy stuff. The time you've been together doesn't make this giant red flag, and the childish antics her family has pulled less valid. If she's not even willing to consider your point, even with expert opinions to back them up, would you trust her to make important life decisions, such as having and raising children, or major career changes which could impact the rest of your lives? Thank you for the update. Well done. You did everything right. And now you know. It's not about the ring. It probably never was. Her family will be impossible to please because they have just decided they don't like you. They will now look for another reason to hate you. So it comes down to just you and your fiancé, as it always should have been. What does she think? Does she understand how you are the victim here? Does she understand how her parents are actively trying to sabotage your relationship with her? Is she prepared to be independent from them, to ignore their advice, to defy them, to take your side, to marry you? Is she on your side? I think allowing her a couple of weeks before having that discussion is a good idea if she's living with you, but a bad idea if she's living with her parents. Because her parents are pouring poison into her ears about you. Thank you. She lives with me. We have been living together for 2 years. She said the result doesn't matter anymore. But I do believe it matters. It shows how her family resolves conflicts should it arises. Excellent. But I think you are right to allow everyone to calm down first. You don't have to have that discussion just yet. Oh, I should clarify that the result doesn't matter anymore because she believes it's fake. No matter what tests we do, the jeweler stores in Korea said it was fake and she believes them. Those were her own words. Now for the final update. 3 weeks ago, we decided to take a month's break. I know taking a break is pretty much a breakup, but I said yes. I asked her today if she has spoken to her parents about the ring and about us in general. To this date, she hasn't. I have been fighting very often with my parents to defend her. My parents also got more upset when they learned she hasn't spoken to her parents at all. I asked her why, and she said at this stage she's very happy being alone because she does not have to worry about our relationship. And so I ended it. I feel like I have been fighting this battle on my own. I have had a few relationships and breakups in the past, but this time it really crushes me. So glad OP checked first with laboratories before going scorching earth with that jewelry. Looks like he got a good deal after all. For $1,500, he managed to dodge a nuclear warhead. Yes, he gave the jewelry store the benefit of the doubt more than his fiancée did him. After reading some of the other comments, I'm like 80-20 on the ex knowing they were lying and either didn't really care about OP to begin with or cared more about her parents' opinions than about her relationship with OP. High chances she's gonna stay single. I don't get it. The gold is real, the stone is real. Did 4 stores try to downplay the value hoping to buy the ring extremely cheap? They never went to 4 stores. OP's ex is lying. Either she's lying that she was there and believes her mother took the ring to 4 different stores, or she's lying about what the store said, or she's lying about how many stores they took it to. Because there is just no way 4 different jewelers pronounced it fake. It's unlikely even one did, but assuming they took it to a shady jeweler who was going to try to scam them out of it, then someone is lying about the other 3 stores all saying the same thing. OP was fortunate to find out now, rather than later, that he was marrying a liar and/or marrying into a family of liars. I know it sucks, but ending it now was the best thing he could do for himself. Update. Am I the a-hole for passing out during a family gathering meant to introduce our new baby? Original post. So recently I, 27 female, had a beautiful baby girl with my husband, 29 male. She is my pride and joy. I love her more than I love myself. But taking care of her has taken its toll on me. My husband promised the work would be 50-50 when we agreed we wanted children. But I don't feel that's being reflected by his actions this past month. It's gotten to the point where I can't even ask him to wash her up without him saying something along the lines of, "My paternity leave is short. I want to make the most of it by relaxing a bit. I'll help you out later." And I get it. His paternity leave is only 6 weeks while mine is 16 weeks. But my nether regions hurt for a better part of 2 weeks after the birth, and all he could do for me was occasionally burp her. Now, my baby girl has got into a phase where she doesn't want to sleep. She'll sleep for an hour, but then she's up and back to crying, and I have to get up and try to soothe her. It's been happening for a week now, and I've gotten so little sleep that I'm nodding off while eating or doing the laundry and stuff. Saturday was the month anniversary of my daughter's birth, so I decided to gather both sides of the family to meet her. They hadn't met her prior because A, I wanted to rest as much as I could, and B, I heard somewhere that you shouldn't be taking babies out and about when they're fresh out the womb, because they're more prone to illness then. So we had this gathering at my mother's house and all is well. Everyone was cooing over our baby. There was food, people were catching up or meeting for the first time. It was nice. But I had gotten about 3 hours of sleep, generous estimate, in total the past week, and I was starting to feel the effects of it. I was feeling lightheaded and clammy, but I didn't want to make a scene, so I tried to go to a bedroom to lie down. I didn't take 10 steps before my vision completely blacked out. I wasn't down for long, but I had fallen over, which drew some attention. I explained to everyone who was concerned that I was fine and that I was just not getting enough sleep, and I could see my husband visibly frown at that. They gave me some of the dessert my aunt made to get my sugar up, and the party continued. I felt embarrassed about the whole thing, especially since everyone was still looking over me until we left. But it's whatever. What bothers me is my husband's reaction. When we got home, he started going off on me about how I made him look bad and like he wasn't taking care of me. I was confused on how the heck me passing out made him look bad, but he refused to explain himself and had a pity party for himself in the kitchen. I was still feeling bad, so I decided to leave him alone and just go to sleep. But he seems to have taken that as a sign that I don't care about his feelings. He's in my ear this morning about how I just ignored him to go to sleep last night and how I didn't even put the baby to sleep before leaving. Is he right? Am I the a-hole here? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole, and I can't call your husband the names I want to because my comment will be deleted. Paternity leave isn't a time to relax. It's a time you're helping raise the baby and spending time together as a family. Clearly, he is not doing either of these things as A, you'd be better rested, and B, he'd have noticed you're exhausted. Your passing out made him look bad because it was clear to everyone that you're being left to raising your baby alone. It's clearly not a partnership, and the a-hole you're married to is turning it into you to shift responsibility and blame. You need to seriously reconsider the relationship's future and brings this up with him, as it all comes down to him and his behavior. If he gets his act together, then things will be much better. But if he doesn't, you and your daughter deserve so much better. He doesn't know what paternity leave is and doesn't really want to take care of his family. Sadly, you can't seem to shake that loser.
This deadbeat of a father and husband is using his 6 weeks to laze around, instead of using it to take care of his wife and child. OP, you said you love your baby more than yourself. Would you want to let her grow up and think that it's normal for wives to push themselves while they're sleepless and in pain until they faint? And husbands to berate them instead of worrying and taking care of them? Tell your parents that your husband doesn't help you at all and blamed you for making him look bad. You know what else makes him look bad? Being a deadbeat father and partner. The whole point of paternity leave is for him to help out, not relax. He makes you work extra hard in taking care of the baby. Then when you pass out, he sees himself as a victim who looks bad in front of his family. Your fainting is proof that he's not pulling his weight. If you trust his parents, show them this post and get their back up in giving him the wake-up call he deserves. His parents are genuinely nice people, so that may work. I'm starting to worry about my health at this point, and he's refusing to listen to me. Mini update. So I've tried talking with him, but he's been ignoring me and the baby the last 3 hours. I'd usually wait longer, but I'm just too tired to deal with this right now. You guys were right. I do need help with this, and he's made it very clear he's not ready to help me yet. So I'm just going to go to my mom's place. I'm currently packing. I'm so done. Now for the full update. Hi all, your comments were really helpful, so thank you. Yesterday, before I could Uber to my mom's house, my sister offered to help me, so I'm staying with her instead. She's taking personal time off to help me out with my girl, which I'm very grateful for. She also gave me sleep medicine that knocked me out for hours. I'm not sure if that was a good idea or not, but I slept long and well, so I don't care. I woke up a few hours ago to tons of messages from my husband. Like the little app icon had 99 plus on it. Here are some things he said, copy-pasted. You can't just up and freaking leave with my baby. Come back now, please. Let's talk about it. You're actually so freaking immature. What the heck is wrong with you? We have one argument and you freaking pretend like I've been beating you. Why the heck did you leave? We can work this out like adults, yet you're choosing to be difficult like a little bee. Please just come back. We will talk and sort this out and we can go back to being happy, so come back. I miss my baby girl. You can't just take her away. What if I called the police for kidnapping? Would that teach you what you're doing is wrong? I would screenshot, but it says this community doesn't allow attachments, so I can't. And I know it's a bit weird to tell y'all what he's been texting me, but I'm mad right now and this feels therapeutic, lol. I already sent the screenshots to his mom though. As for my baby, I have an appointment to a pediatrician for Wednesday, but for now, she's in formula since my breast milk quality isn't the best for understandable reasons. My sister said she wasn't as fuzzy as I described, so I really think the problem is with my milk. That, or my sister wanted to make me feel better for sleeping. Who knows? I'll wait for the doctor's opinion. I'm not feeling 100%, but I feel a whole lot more better than before. Thank you to everyone who showed concern. I think this will be the last update since I want to not think too much about my husband right now. I am so glad you left and got some help and rest. You definitely need and deserve it. I still can't get over your husband's mental gymnastics here. He hasn't been a parent, hasn't helped you at all, and hasn't really spent any time caring for his daughter, and only cares about what other people besides you think. But misses his baby girl and wants you to come back so he can go back to being happy? Sounds like the only person who was happy was him. He got a 6-week vacation and didn't have to lift a finger. Let me guess, you were doing all the cooking and cleaning on top of caring for the baby? From what he is texting you, he thinks he did nothing wrong. He is being deliberately obtuse. To add insult to injury, he calls you a bee and threatens you with the cops. Lovely. He is a real peach. I really want to know what his mom has to say. Does she know he was mad at you for passing out? Because it isn't about love. It is about control and image. Please keep strong. You have done a fabulous job doing what you need to for you and baby. Best wishes. Damn, this dude is crazy. Hopefully next update it'll be ex-husband. What he said was too crazy, not even caring at all. Even though his wife had fainted, he kept swearing and talking about solving the problem. When you really go back, it will probably be another scolding and insulting. Your sister is helping you take care of your child now, so you can sleep peacefully and take care of your body first. That man is not worth it. When you decide you've had enough, take a screenshot of his text so you can show it to everyone who will be asking you whether or not to terminate things permanently. You are already a married single mother. Get free of your violent husband's dead weight. Next story. Am I the a-hole for ignoring my pregnant wife when she gave me the silent treatment over ice cream? Wife 32 female is pregnant and has her emotional and physical struggles. At a scoop of annoyance and silliness too. Frankly, I'm too tired sometimes, and I need to know if I did anything wrong here. I 35 male, I'm a professional, and right now very busy. Wife has her fair share of mood swings and hormonal cravings, and we try to get by most of the time, except when she expects me to read her mind. It's a constant point of our discussions initiated by her, because she feels I don't do stuff for her unless asked, which I disagree with. I bring her flowers, I will plan our dates, and I will give her a massage out of the blue when I'm feeling like I want to show my love for her. On the other hand, she expects me to have the clairvoyance to know she's craving a box of donuts when she calls me to work saying, I wish I had something sweet to eat. All the cookies are finished. Or I want to fix a chicken sandwich right now, but there's no patties left. You see where I'm at? She feels that this is her way of communicating things with me. And if I really loved her and knew her, I'd understand. I disagree with her and tell her she needs to be direct with me if she wants me to bring home something for her. This is followed by her disappointed look and heavy sighs. Recently, something similar happened and she got angry at me as to why I didn't offer to drive her to get some ice cream for her after dinner. This time, I didn't sit and listen to her blame me and told her if she's going to act like a child, maybe she's not equipped to be a mom yet. This must have cut deep, but I am honestly exhausted by her behavior, and I really don't want to put so much unnecessary pressure on myself. I want a partner. Pretty sure babies can't communicate with adults, and it's up to me as a dad to understand if they're crying because they are hungry or sick or uncomfortable. I don't want my partner who expects the same as a baby. Maybe the reason I don't prioritize what she says she wants is because honestly during the workday I have a lot in my mind. So anyone just venting to me or a simple text isn't something I retain in my memory for long. So after what I said, my wife just been giving me the silent treatment. And I'm not going to grovel when I know I've done nothing wrong. I simply ignored it. And it has been 3 days now and I've gone on about my day like nothing happened. Clearly, the lack of attention and concern for our negligible communication has an effect on her, and she's been demanding an explanation from me if I even care about our relationship. I told her that I'm not bothered if she's upset right now over something that shouldn't even be an issue, and I don't care about her validation anymore. She teared up, looked at me with shock, and went back to our room. Did I go too far? Now for the top comments. I think you guys need to focus on your communication, not who's right or wrong. You have different communication styles and that's okay, but you need to find a way that works for both of you. Your wife thinks she's being clear and you think she's not. That makes both of you angry. You need to address that without blame when she's calm and relaxed. The ideal is if you listen to each other without judging. Yeah, this is a mess, and it's not going to get easier once a screaming newborn is added in. If these guys want their marriage to survive, they need to get better at communicating. I think you both need couples therapy and learn how to communicate with each other. I agree, you're not a mind reader. Some people, mostly women I hate to say, are taught to not ask/state/demand what they want. That it's seen as not ladylike and downright rude. There seems to be a misunderstanding between you two on communicating your wants and needs. She is telling him what she needs without making demands, and he calls it mind reading. I had no problem understanding her. What's more alarming here is the aura of superiority and disdain beaming from OP's attitude towards his wife. She's the emotional one, she's the one with communication issues and unfair demands, while he paints himself as level-headed and doing things for her, like planning dates as if that's not a mutual task of mutual benefit. Everyone sucks here at best. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not informing my wife I surrendered my portion of inheritance left by my mom? Long story short, my mother has been battling dementia for around 12 years, and around 4 years ago, she needed more care than what myself and my siblings could reasonably provide. My parents were not exactly wealthy, but they did work hard their entire lives and they always had a goal to leave a legacy behind. My siblings wanted to split the cost of placement. At the time, I was not in the place to help fund her care without great sacrifice. So I told my siblings to take my portion of the estate to cover the cost, which includes the money my parents earmarked for each grandchild. I knew it was not going to be enough, but it was the least I could do. I did not tell my wife because I did run a plan for my siblings by her. She also agreed we could not afford to take on the amount they wanted, which was around $3,000 a month. My mother passed away February of last year. Took this long to settle her estate, and my wife was upset when we did not get a portion of the estate. So I told my siblings to use my portion to cover my side of the expenses. She was livid. I did my best to explain that she agreed we could not afford to pay $3,000 a month, and we lived too far away to provide personal assistance, so I came up with a compromise. She felt it was not my place, since that money was also intended for our kid. I told her I see where she is coming from, but I was not going to take money away from my parents or siblings if I was not helping in some shape or form. Was I the a-hole here? Wait, your parents had money, but because it was planned for inheritance, you and your siblings were covering the cost of care instead of your mother, or whoever was managing her finances, just paying for it? Nah, the plan was for all of us to get together to pay for their care. I am the youngest and was not as established as my siblings. I could not afford to contribute. They could, but since I could not afford it, I gave up my portion of my inheritance. How much would your portion of the estate have been? How many months would you have had to pay $3,000? It was wrong of you to not tell your wife how this was going to go, but was a good compromise to do your part of your parents' care. No a-holes here. You wanted to do the right thing for your parents, but screwed up by not including your wife in the discussion. Your wife didn't appreciate it feeling this was somehow done behind her back. We just would have split it evenly among us. It was sizable, around $200,000, and she lived for around 4 years in her care facility. So largely a drop in the bucket. My $3,000 was also in the lower end because they knew I was not established. That is a fair take. My logic was I did tell my wife about the plan. She agreed we could not afford it. So what exactly would have changed if I told her I was giving up my inheritance? She already agreed we could not afford it. Until your mother died, it was her money, even if it was earmarked for your inheritance. Your mom apologizing for spending your inheritance makes her a good person. You saying you'd rather have her than her money makes you a good person. I see the apple does not fall far from the tree. Edit to clarify. I did not provide my whole life story since I did not think it was needed. I do agree I should have told her. I do not know why I did not tell her, and I am going to apologize for not telling her. As for why my siblings did not use her money, as far as I know, it was for tax reasons. Her assets were not liquid. I know the subject came up when it came time to pay for college because our mom got officially diagnosed when I was 14. She had early onset dementia. They were talking about selling some assets to cover my college costs. I told them it was not needed since I got a scholarship and worked to cover my living expenses. Our mother was cash poor. For as long as I can recall, my oldest sibling covered the majority of the household costs. I never really gave how much money my mother had much thought. I was also oblivious to the hell my siblings went through, shielding me from reality. That being said, the reason they did it the way they did was for tax reasons, and it was just easier that way. I do not know the details, and to be honest, I don't even care. I wish I could give them more because they gave me so much. I know it was painful for our mom to refer to them as strangers, but always lit up when she saw me. Yet she was at a lovely place she was because of them. I simply existed. End of the day, I do owe my wife an apology, and I will do so. As for the money, that is the least I could do for all they have done for me. I can never repay them for all they did for me.